Good evening. Let us begin with a quiet admission that may save us years of strain. Words are only auxiliaries. At times, words become the very interference to the awareness of God's presence. Be still and know that I am God. Not be verbal, not be intricate, but be still. Do you see? There is a presence that does not arrive on the sound of syllables and does not depart when the mouth is closed. Many of us, well-intentioned and sincere, have tried to talk our way into God. The more we feared we were far off, the more we multiplied speech, and all the while the very river we sought was running quietly within. The habit is widespread and seldom questioned. We pray as though God were over there and we are over here, and so we send requests across what we imagine to be a distance. We fire off words like signals to a far shore, hoping he will see the flare and steer his help in. And then we repeat the message as if volume could bridge a gap that never was. Our Master had something to say about this. When ye pray, use not vain repetitions, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Matthew 6-7-8. He did not say there is no communion, only that communion is not achieved by multiplying phrases. The Father knows. The Father is. The Father is here. Now, this is not theory to be admired from a distance. We stand on a different standard. In this work, we test everything by fruitage, by what it does in actual experience, not by how inspiring it sounds. If, after your prayer, you still pace the floor, argue with the condition, or anxiously check the clock, then your prayer has not yet touched the presence. It remains in the letter. If, after your prayer, a hush enters where fear had its throne, if a way opens where none seem possible, if relationships soften, if something in you says, peace, be still, and the sea obeys, then you are in the realm of fruitage. By their fruits ye shall know them. Matthew 7:20. Do you follow that? In my ministry, when a call for help comes, my conversation is usually limited to, I will help you. Little else is said. Why? Because words are not the help. Presence is the help. And presence is not summoned by eloquence. It is realized in stillness. The prophets knew it. Elijah did not find the Lord in the wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire, but in a still small voice. 1 Kings 19:12. That voice is not a sentence crafted by the human mind. It is the recognition of what already is. Let us be candid. Much of our praying is a kind of pious anxiety. We drape fear in sacred phrases. We mean well, but we keep God at a respectable distance with our very attempt to impress him. We barter, if you will do this, I will do that, as if we are negotiating with an absent deity. Yet Scripture insists, the word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth and in thy heart, Romans 10-8. In him we live and move and have our being, Acts 17:28. If we live and move and have our being in God, where is the distance for words to cross? I would spare you cliches. I would not come to you in your pain and recite spiritual slogans while you bleed. I will help you. And the help begins when we stop imagining two places and two powers and two lives. When the mouth grows quiet enough for the heart to notice what is present, something shifts. The air clears. The pressure drops. Often, without noise, the thing that frightened us reveals itself as only the shadow cast by our sense of separation. We will, in a moment, take up a small word, one hardly noticed in grammar, that changes the entire posture of prayer. I do not bring it as a novelty, but as a key that dissolves the imagined distance between the seeker and the sought. For now, take this as your beginning. Prayer falters when it assumes separation. Words can conceal the presence they are meant to reveal. Close the door, as Jesus instructed. Thy Father which is in secret, Matthew 6-6. Close the door on clatter and cleverness and let stillness show you the nearness that never left. Then we can speak of the word that makes this nearness intelligible, workable, and fruitful in daily life. Do you see? Now we take up the little word that removes a great burden. The missing word in effective prayer is as not God somewhere helping you here, but God appearing as you here. You see? It is not a deity occasionally visiting a human. It is the invisible life forever manifest as individual being. I and my Father are one, John 10:30, is not poetry. It is identity. He that hath seen me hath seen the Father, John 14:9, is not a boast. It is the revelation that the Father is the nature, the life, the substance of the one who appears before you. Two models of prayer stand side by side. One imagines a remote benefactor to be petitioned, persuaded, and pleased. It strains, it calculates, it bargains. Lord, come help me. The other rests, because there is no going and coming in omnipresence. It recognizes, Father, you are being my life. You are the mind that constitutes my awareness. You are the love that beats this heart. In the first, I am a separated petitioner. In the second, I am transparency for presence. The first multiplies words to cross a distance that does not exist. The second is a quiet noticing of what is, God fulfilling himself as the very eye that hears these words. In him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28. If that is true, where would help come from but as? Let me be very clear on what as is not. It is not the human ego taking God's name and enlarging its importance. It is not personal will clothing itself in sacred syllables to command conditions. As is not a promotion of a mortal, it is the disappearance of the mortal sense in recognition of the oneself appearing as individual identity. The invisible Father appears as Son, as daughter. God is manifest as individual being. That means your real life is not a private possession to be improved. It is God life revealing itself without partner, rival, or gap. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me, Galatians 2:20. I presume that means we are not adding God to a human. We are beholding God as the only I there is. This is practical. A mother phones at midnight, a child fevered, breath shallow. You know our custom. I keep my words to her minimal, I will help you. Then, in the quiet, the shift occurs. Not God. Come, heal that child. Not an absent power, make a late entrance. Rather, Father, you are the life of this child, appearing as this very being. Life is not arriving. Life is being. There is no other life here to oppose or endanger. In that recognition, fear often dissolves like mist. Sometimes without announcement, breath evens and the body rests. If you ask, how do you know that was not just suggestion? I answer as always, by the fruitage, by your life experience. In the morning the report comes, the crisis past, peace in the house. If, on another night, the way clears differently through wisdom to call for help through a skillful hand, ready at dawn. Do you see? The same presence is the actor as not a part. Fruitage, not theory, tells you you are no longer praying to a distance. Make this simple in your own practice. When you begin to pray, notice your prepositions. If you hear yourself asking God to do something for you, pause, be still. Let the awareness turn. Father, you are being my wisdom as this decision, my strength as these hands, my sufficiency as this day. You are not coming to me. You are expressing as me. Do not force phrase. Let them fall away and sit quietly in the fact. The word is as dissolves the superstition of elsewhere and later, as reveals the presence living itself, here and now, as the only I. Do you follow that? If this is truth, it will vindicate itself. You will not need to announce it to convince anyone. The test will be your peace where agitation used to live, your provision where strain used to count coins, your restored relationships where fear used to defend, not because you persuaded a distant power, but because the one appeared as the very being you are and always were. All that I have is thine. Luke 15:31. In as you cease to beg for the ring, you discover it on your hand. If you wonder why, even after hearing this word, as your prayer still tightens, the reason is simple and ancient. The belief in two powers has slipped in under the door. On one side, a power called disease, debt, danger, history. On the other, a power called God summoned to contend with it. That is the pressure beneath pleading prayer. It assumes an adversary with substance, and it asks deity to come out and fight. But hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Deuteronomy 6-4. One, not two. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Matthew 6:24. Do you see? As long as we inwardly grant reality to a second power, our words, even when pious, are energized by fear, and fear is always a confession of two. Name the mechanism so you can stop being subject to it. What confronts you is mesmerism, impersonal, universal, hypnotic suggestion, taking on the masks of symptom, history, statistics, prognosis, ledger lines, and probabilities. It says, look at the evidence. It has weight, it has law, it has substance, it has memory. But this is only the arm of flesh, and the arm of flesh is nothingness. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, Isaiah 2:22. Meaning, of course, cease giving personhood or material circumstance the prerogatives of law. Error is not a person. It is not your body. It is not your bank account. It is not your employer, your neighbor, or your past. It is a suggestion, no person, no place, no thing claiming presence and power without having either. Therefore, your first movement in prayer is not to grapple with a condition or to persuade God. Your first movement is to depersonalize. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it. Label it correctly. Mesmerism, suggestion, appearance. You are not being cold to suffering. You are denying power to that which has none. Our Master said, resist not evil, Matthew 5:39, which is not passivity, but a refusal to grant evil the dignity of opposition. If it is an appearance, it does not call for combat. It calls for seeing. Take the quick picture that has served me for years. At twilight, a coil of rope is mistaken for a snake. Nerves tingle. Breath shortens. A stick is lifted to strike. But bring a light. Behold the rope. And where did the snake go? There never was a snake to kill. There was only a belief to correct. Do you follow that? Striking the rope would be as foolish as pleading with God to make rail tracks stop converging at the horizon. The tracks do not meet. The eye was misled. So with the white poodle that never walked through the wall, only a spot on tired vision. When the eye is single, the body is full of light, Matthew 6:22. When your awareness is single, one power, your prayer is rest, not struggle. This is what as does to the mechanism as strips suggestion of a stage to play on by refusing a second actor if God, the invisible, appears as this very being. Where is the competing power? Where is the alien life to threaten the life that is omnipresent? I and my Father are one, John 10:30. One. The instant as is realized, prayer ceases to be a dispatch to a distant ally and becomes recognition of the one living itself here. In that recognition, the suggestion that posed as circumstance drops to its nothingness, not always noisily, but actually the sea calms when the wind loses its claim to be a power. How will you work with this today? When the report arrives, when a bill appears, when a symptom speaks or a memory accuses, do not rush into speech. Be still. Acknowledge, Father, you are being my life as this very I. My sufficiency is this circumstance. My law is this activity. There is no second power here to mend or to fear. This that terrifies is only the arm of flesh, hypnotic suggestion without person, law, or substance. And then wait, listen, let the single power announce itself within. If you catch even a glimmer of that oneness, you will notice the strain go out of prayer. You are no longer praying against, you are abiding as. And harmony follows, not by contest, but by the revelation that there was never another nine, do you see? Now, when the suggestion of two powers has been seen through, the question arises naturally, then what is help? If we are not calling a distant deity to contend with a second force, what do we do when the cry comes? We redefine help. Help is not intervention. Help is realization. Help is not reaching out. It is yielding, standing by in consciousness, quietly beholding what is true until the appearance yields to the presence. Be still and know that I am God. Not be busy persuading, not be feverish arranging. Be still and know. Do you see? In the moments that matter, when the phone rings at midnight, when the diagnosis is placed on the table, when a letter arrives with threats, our ministry is simple. In speech, almost nothing. In consciousness, everything. I will help you. Then silence. Close the door, as the Master instructed. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it. Let the heart open to the realized fact. Father, you are being the life of this one as this very being. You are the law of this situation, appearing as order. You are the substance of supply, revealing as sufficiency. I am not trying to reach you. I am consenting to your self-disclosure as the only I here. The help is the presence recognized, not the condition manipulated. This is pastoral, not theoretical. A businessman once sat across from me, white-faced, under threat of a ruinous suit. He wanted strategy, arguments, documents. I said only, I will help you, and we were quiet. Within, the movement was not, God, come fix this case. It was, Father, you are the mind that constitutes being one mind, appearing as intelligence, honesty, and order. There is no second mind to devise harm. When the hush arrived, we parted. The next day, a letter came offering a path of reconciliation no one had anticipated. Was it my cleverness? No. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. John 14:10. Fruitage is the witness that help has occurred. When you are called to a bedside, keep your tongue from platitudes. Do not say, there are no accidents in divine mind, to a mother weeping. I resent it very much when truth is used as a stick on the suffering. Keep the truth within where it is power. Let compassion be what is audible. Hold the hand. Say, I will help you. Then inwardly abide, Father. Your life is the life here. Your peace is the atmosphere here. Your order is the only law here. Not a syllable needs to instruct the soul. The soul knows its source. He restoreth my soul, Psalm 23:3. If words are required at all, let them be few and seasoned with tenderness. Do you see how, as changes the posture, we are not climbing to God, we are letting God be God as us. We are not trying to drag harmony into a scene. We are consenting to see that harmony is the nature of being right where the scene appears. The Master at Lazarus' tomb did not organize an argument with death. He lifted his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me, and I knew that thou hearest me always. John 11:41-42. Gratitude before display. Recognition before event. That is help. That is realization. And then out of that inner knowing, the outer word is spoken. Lazarus, come forth. John 11:43. One sentence, not to persuade God, but to let what is known within take form without. Keep your ministry clean of reprimand. Never use truth to indict a patient, a friend, or yourself. Do not imply, if you were more spiritual, this would not be happening. That is ego in religious clothing, as contains no boasting, no blame. It is a surrender. Not my will, but thine be done. Luke 22:42, which is to say, not the human mind's pictures, but the self's light, here and now. If correction is needed, Spirit will correct, and kindly. If guidance is needed, it will appear without our scolding. You will know you are giving true help when strain leaves the atmosphere. The room grows quiet, the breath even. Perhaps nothing is said, yet a presence stands up within and fills the space, and those present feel it, even if they cannot name it. Lo, I am with you always. Matthew 28-20. Ceases to be a verse on a page and becomes the felt fact of the hour. Problems may fold at once or unwind in orderly steps. Either way, the mark is fruitage order where confusion seemed, mercy where hardness ruled, sufficiency where lack was feared. And you will have done very little outwardly. You will have stood by in consciousness and witnessed what is true. That is help. That is our work. Do you follow that? If theirs establishes identity, is establishes time. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances soften, not after we persuade heaven. Is, be still and know that I am God. Not I will be, not I was, I am. Do you see the weight of that? When you rest in, as God appearing as individual being, what you are resting in is already. The grace you seek is the grace that is. The peace you hunger for is the peace that is. The kingdom is not coming with observation. The kingdom of God is within you, Luke 17:21. Is collapses all delay. Let us build this carefully, line by line. Life is, not will be given, is, because I am is. Love is, not if someone behaves, is, because I am is. Abundance is, not what the check clears, is because I am is. Omnipresence is, not moving about from point to point, is, because I am is. I am that I am, Exodus 3:14, is the name by which presence names itself. Before Abraham was, I am, John 8:58, is the way the Master spoke of reality. If the nature of God is I am, then the nature of God's appearing is, harmony is, order is, safety is, supply is, not created by prayer, but recognized in prayer. Here is the working analogy. You are not trying to make 2 times 2 become 4. You are not calling a committee meeting to pass a resolution that 2 times 2 should be 4 this week. You are realizing it is 4. The 4-ness was before you thought of it. Your noticing does not create it. It partakes of it. That is true prayer. When you pray in is, you are not manufacturing an outcome. You are consenting to what already is in God to reveal itself as what appears. Now is the day of salvation. 2 Corinthians 6:2. Now is not a clock time. It is the quality of divine being present as this instant of awareness. You will sense at once how this relieves strain. Hope belongs to tomorrow. Realization belongs to now. Petition waits. Recognition witnesses. As tells you who you are, as tells you when you are. And the answer is always, I am, and it is. Do you follow that? When a condition shouts for attention, the mind wants a schedule. How long, when, by what means? Drop it. Return to is, Father, you are. Your life is the life here. Your order is the law here. Your sufficiency is the substance here. If a phrase floats up, let it be scriptural and simple. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. Not will be, is. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, John 14:27. Not I will lend later, but I give, is. Now, do not confuse is with autosuggestion. We are not repeating is to bend a circumstance. We are resting in is to behold what has never ceased to be true. Faith is not straining for an invisible rope. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. Substance implies already. Evidence implies presence, not promise. When the inner ear hears, the atmosphere changes. Often there is first the fruitage of peace, then of guidance, then of outward adjustment. At times the shift is immediate. At times it unfolds in orderly ways. The common denominator is this: you did not make something happen, you witnessed what is. Practice this in the small corridors of the day so that in the crisis it is natural at your desk. Wisdom is, for mind is. In your home, love is, for God is love. 1 John 4:8. When bills stack, substance is, for the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Psalm 24:1. When a body complains, life is, for I am the resurrection and the life. John 11:25. Keep it within, keep it quiet. Let your words be few. Let your knowing be steady. You are not moving God. You are letting God's is breathe through your as. This is why the Master could speak with thanksgiving before any visible change, because gratitude belongs to already. Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me, and I knew that thou hearest me always. John 11:41-42. That is in operation. He was not trying to bring God down into a graveyard. He was recognizing that life is here. And when life is recognized as is, appearances conform without drama or delay. The river does not begin when you stoop to drink. Your stooping simply places you where the river always is. Let this enter you gently. Do not argue with appearances. Unsee them long enough to see through them, as establishes that the I here is God's appearing, establishes that God's appearing is now. If you take these two words into your heart and live with them faithfully, you will discover that prayer is not the art of getting, it is the art of seeing. And what you will see again and again is that what God is. Do you see? There is a moment, and it is the grace moment, when the mind falls through its own explanations and a word not fashioned by men speaks itself within. In that instant, the posture of prayer changes from labor to beholding. The breath lengthens without instruction. The room feels larger than its walls. And no one outside you has said anything. The voice has said it in the only place it can be heard. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Matthew 3:17. Do you see? When that recognition moves not as a sentence you repeat, but as a fact God utters in the sanctuary of consciousness, separation collapses, as and is knit into one living awareness, the one appearing as you. Now, let us be very clear. This is not self-congratulation. It is not the human voice pinning a medal upon itself. It is not ego dressing up as spirit and admiring its reflection. It is divine recognition of divine appearing. Thou art my beloved Son, in thee I am well pleased, Luke 3:22. The same love that rested upon the Master at Jordan rests upon every son of God, every daughter of God, as the truth of identity. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, 1 John 3:2. Now, do you notice? Not when improved, not when the last habit is erased. Now, because sonship is of God, not of human attainment, therefore, our work at this juncture is not to polish a mortal personality. We are not attempting to create a spiritualized Adam. We are consenting to discern the Christ where the senses report limitation. The senses will testify to sickness, age, want, guilt, history. They make their report faithfully according to their capacity, but they do not see the source. So we train the eye within. Look back of the eye. Look not at the things seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. 2 Corinthians 4:18. The thing seen is the report, the unseen is the reality. When you look back of the eye, you are not denying what appears. You are refusing to let appearance define identity. Practice this without noise. When you sit with one who suffers, keep your speech clean and your heart open. Say aloud only what love would say. Inwardly, let the benediction rise and rest. This is my beloved Son. This is my beloved daughter. I am well pleased. Do you follow that? Not I will be pleased when, not if only they would, is. Well pleased because the life shining there is my own selfhood, unblemished by the stories of time. Hold to this quietly. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it. See only the Christ of God, God appearing as individual being. And watch what happens, not because you commanded it, but because reality recognized reveals itself as order. Many times I have entered a home torn by reproach and defense, and I have said almost nothing. Within, the seeing was steady. This is my beloved. There is one life here, one mind here, one love here. The air has changed before voices softened. Then, as if a hidden draught carried the ember to flame, an apology formed, a memory reinterpreted itself, a path to reconciliation appeared that neither party could have arranged. On another day, a woman bowed by the report of an incurable difficulty sat across from me, and while her words spent themselves, the inner ear caught only the Father's word. My beloved, my life is your life. The pressure lifted, the face brightened, the body obeyed in days what years had not granted. Was it suggestion? No. By the fruitage, by the presence accepted as identity, the form followed. This discipline will require you to unsee both human evil and human good, for both are masks when they stand in the place of source. If a talent dazzles you or a fault repels you, you are still looking at surfaces. Look back of the eye. See Christ and only Christ. Not the brilliant mortal, not the failing mortal, the one. I and my Father are one, John 10:30. One is the number of reality. Here is the hinge then. Transformation begins. The instant you accept God's recognition of you, not when you finally approve of yourself, not when others endorse you, when within you consent to be the Son the Father beholds. That consent is humility and it is power. It ends pleading. It begins beholding. It turns prayer from words about God to the word God speaks of himself as you. And because it is the word, it does not return void. It accomplishes that whereunto it is sent. Isaiah 55:11. Let it sound in you often, gently, without performance. Let it name you, name your neighbor, name the one who seems most unlike it. Hold to it until the sense of two places, two lives, two powers gives way to one. Then you will know why peace precedes solution and why harmony follows you as fruit and not as chase. Do you see? Let us come now to the way we meet what hurts without giving it a crown. This is where many are confused and where many are wounded by clumsy ministry. We do not deny that human sense feels pain. We do not deny that tears fall, that fear tightens the chest, that bills stack, that a report bears a grim name. Compassion sees the weeping, compassion sits beside it. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Romans 12:15. But hear me, while we do not deny that pain is felt, we deny that pain is a power. We deny that it is law. We deny that it is person. Do you see the difference? To deny feeling would be inhuman. To grant power to the feeling would be idolatry. So this is our practice. On any call for help, keep the speech simple. I will help you. Then, inwardly, give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it as power. Drop it as identity. What stands before you is not a sick person, not a guilty person, not a poor person. What confronts you is only mesmerism, a universal belief in two powers, seeking a host. Name it correctly. This is suggestion. The arm of flesh, without person, law, substance, cause, or continuity. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils. Isaiah 2:22. Meaning, of course, cease affixing personhood and law to appearance. Then turn, Father, you are the life appearing as this very being. You are the law appearing as order in this situation. You are the substance appearing as sufficiency. I and the Father are one here. There is not another. Be still. Listen. Why is this mercy? Because personalization locks fear. The moment you set the problem on a person, fear gains a name, a face, a history. And your heart will wrestle that mask, sometimes angrily, sometimes pityingly, but always as if it had power. Impersonalization loosens the hypnotic spell. It says, you are not the pain, nor is the pain you. You are not the behavior, nor is the behavior you. It separates the precious from the false. This is why the Master could say to the suggestion, speaking through a dear disciple, get thee behind me, Satan, Matthew 16:23, and yet love the man. He refused to fight Peter. He unmasked the impersonal tempter. Do you follow that? And again, at the gate, when asked, who did sin, this man or his parents? The answer was, neither hath this man sinned nor his parents. John 9:3. No blame assigned, no person saddled with a cause. The appearance was stripped of guilt, and in that light, the works of God were made manifest. Keep your ministry kind. Do not sermonize to the sufferer. Do not hand them a sentence like a stone. I have said before, and I mean it, I resent it very much when truth is used to scold the broken. Let the only audible thing be tenderness, perhaps silence, perhaps a hand held, perhaps the one sentence, I will help you, the work is within. There, quietly impersonalize and realize. There, recognize as and is. There, dwell until presence announces itself and the atmosphere changes. He shall not strive nor cry, Matthew 12:19. Love does not perform. Love is. If you want a picture, keep it clean. A man once came breathing fire over a betrayal. He wanted my agreement against a name. I gave him none. Outwardly, I listened. Inwardly, I dropped the person and the story as power. Hypnotic suggestion only that parading as memory and injury. Father, you are the one, mind, and there is no second mind to devise harm, no second self to be harmed. In minutes, his voice softened, another possibility presented itself, and in the week that followed, reconciliation began. Was it my argument? No. The spell was broken when we refused to hang it on a person by the fruitage. This is not coldness. This is mercy. It is the way the sheep are lifted from the brambles without tearing the wool. It is how you will be able to stand in rooms where language has failed and yet see order return. Hold to the ethic. Keep truth within and let fruitage speak. If the peace settles, if the guidance appears, if the body obeys, if the supply arrives in orderly fashion, then you have done your work. If not, do not force. Return, be still, and know. Resist not evil. Matthew 5:39 is the way our Master described this. Refuse the fight that would make evil a power. Behold the one and watch the unreal unmask itself. Let this be the method that becomes second nature. Feel with the sufferer, but think with God. Grant and let the Father that dwelleth in you do the works, John 14:10. Do you see? Let us bring this home to the hours of an ordinary day, because if truth does not enter the small corridors, it will not stand in the crises, as must become a climate, not a concept. Prayer shifts, then, from asking to abiding, steady, almost unnoticed movements in consciousness that let the presence live its own life as your being. Do you see? At waking, before the feet find the floor, be still. Not long, true prayers are never long, but true. Father, reveal thyself as my being. I and the Father are one. Thy grace is present. I consent to what is. Then wait a breath for the hush that acknowledges now is the accepted time. 2 Corinthians 6:2. Not I will get to God after coffee. God is the eye that awakens. In him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28. When the first light of his breaks in, the day is already ordered. You have not petitioned for a schedule. You have agreed with reality. Before meals, close the lips to words and open the heart to recognition. This bread is not a material sufficiency requiring blessing. This bread is the appearing of substance, that is. Give us this day our daily bread, Matthew 6:11, is not a plea for tomorrow's pantry. It is the sight that today is God made visible as sufficiency. Father, thyself as nourishment. Thy grace feeds. Thy grace digests. Thy grace satisfies. Keep it within. Keep it simple. Gratitude, then, is not politeness, it is witness. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Psalm 24:1. With money paying a bill, receiving a check, setting a price pause, substance is. Supply is. Not money is power, God is appearing. Father, reveal thyself as order here. I consent to the flow of grace as figures and forms, without fear, without grasping. No dramatics, no struggle. Do you follow that? You will notice over time that panic drains away, that provision comes in right ways, that integrity guides exchanges by the fruitage, not by your bookkeeping of affirmations, but by order manifest in accounts and the natural generosity of a heart unafraid. At decisions, emails to answer, doors to open, words to speak, practice the holy hesitation, one breath. Father, you are the mind, appearing as my mind. Reveal thyself as my being. Thy peace is my atmosphere. I will not move without it. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Isaiah 26:3. Wait not for a thunderclap, but for that soft alignment by which you know you are not choosing alone. Then move, and move kindly. Many missteps are prevented by a single inward bow. In the hallway, entering a meeting, the phone vibrating, carry your ministry silently. This is my beloved Son. I will help you. Say little outwardly, know much inwardly. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it as power. Abide in as and is until the inner tone settles. Often you will find that what needed saying finds you, and what needed hearing in another is already being heard. It is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. Matthew 10:20. Now, about maturing. At first you will be saying truth to prime the pump. Short, clean, scriptural, and quiet. I and the Father are one. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Luke 15:31. My grace is sufficient for thee. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Do this often, not feverishly. Gradually the words will thin out, and another voice will take the initiative. Then prayer becomes listening more than speaking, abiding more than arranging. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me, Galatians 2:20. Your major activity becomes receptivity. God declares himself within you. Do not confuse this with mood management. The aim is not a better feeling, it is a truer awareness. The proof is fruitage. Calmer homes, cleaner decisions, bodies obeying order, sufficiency without strain, reconciliations that no argument could reach. If these signs follow, your abiding is real. If not, do not scold. Return and be still. Abide in me and I in you, John 15:4. Asking belongs to distance. Abiding belongs to oneness. As you live this hour by hour, goodness and mercy shall follow. Psalm 23:6. Not as prizes for effort, but as the natural outcome of presence lived as you. Do you see? Now let us be very plain, for love is never vague when guidance is needed. How will you know that what you are calling prayer is the presence realized and not merely a mood? By your life experience, by the fruitage. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Matthew 7:16. Not by the beauty of your words, not by the glow that runs through a room, not by the tears that rise while you read a devotional page. Those may come and they may go. Fruitage is different. Fruitage is harmony made visible, problems quickly and easily solved, a tendency toward order where confusion once multiplied, a hush that enters before answers arrive, and then answers that are simple enough to be obeyed. Do you see? I must warn you gently, because we are all susceptible to it. Inspiration is not realization. An emotional uplift is not a spiritual demonstration. You can attend a meeting, feel an exquisite tenderness, sing, even weep, and still return home to the same quarrel in the kitchen, the same fear in the body, the same pressure at the desk. That is an emotional jag. It is not wrong. It is only not the test. The test is fruitage. If the fear that used to rule you loosens its grip and stays loose, that is fruitage. If anger that once sprang up like a match now takes longer to ignite and sooner goes out, that is fruitage. If decisions come cleaner, with less second guessing, and their outcomes bear integrity, that is fruitage. If conflicts soften, not because you won an argument, but because a presence in the room became the atmosphere, that is fruitage. If you feel less compelled to fix people and more willing to behold God appearing as them, leaving correction to grace while you remain kind, that is fruitage. My peace I give unto you, John 14:27, is not a sentence to admire. It is a condition to discover where you live. Set the measuring rod where the Master set it. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit. John 15:8. Much fruit, not much talk. If you are living in as and is, certain marks will show themselves. Recovery from shocks will be quicker. The mind will stop rehearsing hurts and will find itself returning almost involuntarily to the inner word, Father, you are. Expenditures will come under a quiet order. Provision will arrive without the tremor that once attended every envelope. Health will obey in ways that are proportionate to your refusal to treat the body as a god or a foe, and to your consent to let life be what it is now. And do not miss this: the edges around persons will soften. You will meet fewer difficult people because you will encounter more of the Christ where labels used to be, by the fruitage. If, as you listen, you find the evidence thin, do not condemn yourself. Do not throw away your practice, and do not lash your feelings into a new jag. Return to the basics. Return to, as until the sense of a God out there yields to God appearing as the eye that hears these words. Return to is until tomorrow talk falls away and now stands up within you. Return to impersonalization until the habit of fastening problems on persons releases, and you can say honestly, this is suggestion without law or substance. Then be still. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, Isaiah 40-31. Renewal is fruitage. It does not need your strain to be born. Keep your audit simple. Ask, are my problems more quickly and easily solved? Is fear less? Are my decisions cleaner? Are my relationships kinder? Do I feel less urge to correct others and more grace to abide? If yes, continue as you are. Deepen the silence. Let the listening ear enlarge. If not, do not invent new formulas. Do not add more words. Narrow the practice. A few times a day, consciously know, I and the Father are one. God is appearing as my very being. Harmony is because God is. Then close the door and listen. When the inner tone has been contacted, leave it there and go about your tasks. The presence that begins as hush will end as order, and order is fruitage. I will help you. That is all we can honestly promise one another. The rest is God keeping his own word, and he does. These signs shall follow them that believe. Mark 16:17. Follow, do you see? Not be chased, not be advertised, but follow naturally, as the wake follows a ship. When it is real, you will not need to tell anyone. They will tell you by their ease, by their healing, by their new courage. And you will know, not by feeling, but by the fruit. There is a point in this way where the tongue grows tired before the heart does, and you discover that the next step is not a finer phrase, but a quieter ear. We begin, of course, by priming the pump short, clean statements of truth to turn the mind Godward. But if you are faithful, the work ripens. The same grace that led you to say, I and the Father are one, will lead you to hear what the Father says of himself within you. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. Matthew 11:15. Hearing is the maturation of knowing. Do you see? This is not another technique. It is the same oneness, finding its own voice. Be still and know that I am God did not say, be busy and convince God. It said, be still and know, Psalm 46:10. When silence opens, something begins that words cannot start and cannot improve. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. In the early stages, you speak to prime. In the mature stages, you listen, because the voice has taken the initiative. Then prayer is less a speech and more a presence, less arrangement, more recognition. The room does not change. The atmosphere within it does. Now hear this clearly, so that you do not make a saint out of a sentence. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Galatians 2:20 is not a pedestal. It is the natural outcome of as realized. If God appears as individual being, then the life that moves your thought, chooses your word, orders your day, is Christ life being itself as you. Not mystical theatrics, very quiet, very practical. The email you were about to send you, find it softened or unsent. The road you are about to take, you feel a gentler route and discover later why. The conversation you feared, you enter it and realize you are not the one carrying peace. Peace is carrying you. Do you follow that? Fruitage again, but now with less effort, because the initiative is the Lord's. Practice must be simple, or it will not be kept. 3 or 4 times a day, take 60 honest seconds. Close the door if you can. Close the eyes if you must. More important, close the argument. Father, here I am. Reveal thyself as my being. Thy will, not mine. Then listen. Say within, if a word is needed. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. 1 Samuel 3-9. Do not outline, do not rehearse outcomes. Let the earth keep silence before him. Habakkuk 2:20. If nothing is heard, do not strain. The first sign is not a sentence, but a stillness. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Isaiah 30-15. Strength arrives as atmosphere before it arrives as instruction. As this becomes your habit, prayer ceases to be negotiation and becomes communion. You are no longer presenting cases. You are consenting to presence. The mind that once tried to move, God now yields and finds it is being moved by God. Guidance rises of itself, sometimes as a word, sometimes as a gentle weight that says, not yet, or this way. Peace ceases to be a visitor and becomes a climate. Elijah learned that lesson on the mountain: no voice in the wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire, and after the fire a still small voice. 1 Kings 19:12. The still small voice is not dramatic, but it is decisive. It will not flatter you, and it will not frighten you. It will steady you. Do not mistake receptivity for passivity. You will act often more promptly and more kindly than before, but the action will be born of rest, not of compulsion. Measure by fruitage. Are steps cleaner? Is delay less about fear and more about wisdom? Do doors open without pushing? If a day passes and you heard nothing definite, return to as and is. Let them set the table, and then wait for the guest. When someone asks for help, keep the speech spare. I will help you, and then listen for them as you would for yourself. Stand by in consciousness until the hush comes. Then let love do its own revealing. This, then, is our aim. Not better declarations, but deeper receptivity where spirit declares itself within you. It is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. Matthew 10:20. Consent to that, often, quietly. Let Christ live your life not by vacating your duties, but by yielding your doer. You will find that the yoke is easy and the burden light because it is not yours to carry. And you will know it is real, not because you felt unusually holy, but because order followed, peace held, and the next right thing stood up where you are. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, Exodus 14:13. Then step and discover it is carrying you. Do you see? We must place a few guardrails now, because where light is dawning, shadows try to mimic it. As is holy ground, do not drag boots upon it. The first misuse is ego religion, the subtle intoxication that whispers, God is me, and then equips the human will with a scepter. That is not this work. God appearing as individual being signifies the disappearance of personal sense, not its enthronement. The actor steps back. The life acts. Not my will, but thine be done. Luke 22:42. If you find yourself shouting your demonstrations, envying another's, or issuing decrees to bend people and events, stop. Drop it. He that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord. 1 Corinthians 1:31. The fruit of true as is humility, quietness, and inevitability. The works occur, but you do not own them. The Father that dwelleth in you doeth the works. John 14:10. Do you see? The next misuse is cruelty, dressed as metaphysics. Never take as and make it a whip. Do not say to a frightened one, you created this, as if God had deputized you to assign blame. That is not ministry. That is pride acting pious. Error is not a person. It is suggestion, hypnosis, the arm of flesh without law or substance. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. Romans 8:1. When pain appears, we do not deny the feeling, and we do not crown it with guilt. We weep with them that weep, then inwardly we impersonalize and realize, keep your speech spare, I will help you, and put the labor where it belongs, in silence, in beholding, in the Father's word that names the sufferer beloved. If you must correct anything, correct the belief in two powers, not the person. Judge not, that ye be not judged, Matthew 7:1. Do you follow that? A third misuse is laziness disguised as spirituality. Because as and is point to what already is, some conclude that no practice is needed. They say, God is, and then neglect the inner stillness by which the fact becomes living. This is not a lazy man's work. It is steady, simple, faithful, returning, often, unseeing appearance, consenting to, presence, listening until the hush comes. Do not confuse passivity with receptivity. Receptivity moves you in right ways, at right times, with right words. Passivity stays inert and calls it surrender. The bills still need order. The body still needs ordinary care. The phone still needs to be answered kindly. Grace does not absolve you of life, it animates life as you. Be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, James 1:22. The doing here is abiding, listening, and then acting from peace. Keep the pastoral stance in view. Compassion first, then realization. Presence, not performance. If you feel eager to lecture a sufferer, be silent. If you feel prompted to compare spiritual ranks, be humbled. What hast thou that thou didst not receive? 1 Corinthians 4-7. When the sense of personal virtue swells, remember, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. James 4-6. True, as always, reduces your footprint and enlarges the presence. You become easier to be with. You speak less and help more. You do not parade holy language. You carry a holy hush. Take heed that ye do not your alms before men to be seen of them. Matthew 6-1. Let this be your test. Does your use of as make you kinder, quieter, cleaner in conscience, and are problems more quickly and easily solved? If yes, continue. If you notice pride, blame, or neglect creeping in, return at once to basics. I and the Father are one. God is appearing as individual being. Harmony is because God is. Then listen. When the inner tone answers, move from it and let the fruitage speak. This teaching is not an ego claim or a blame tool. It is a surrender into God's appearing that restores compassion and clarity. In that surrender, the yoke is easy, the burden is light, and the works are of God. Do you see? Let us end with what you can do in one honest minute, many times over, until it becomes the quiet axis of your day. It is not complicated, it is not dramatic, but it is faithful, and it bears fruit. Do you see? Sit or stand as you are. Close the argument more than the eyes. One breath to soften the body and lay down urgency. Say within, Father, here I am, that is all. No outline, no case presented. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46-10. Now, release the story. Whatever name has occupied you, symptom, person, bill, memory, let it pass without crown or cause. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it as power, drop it as identity. This is only suggestion. The arm of flesh, a universal belief in two powers without law, substance, or continuity. Resist not evil. Matthew 5:39. Do you follow that? Turn now to one power. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Deuteronomy 6:4. Agree inwardly that there is no second life, no second mind, no rival will. Consent. Father, thou art. Thy presence is the only presence here. Let the next breath carry the word that changes prayer from distance to oneness as God appearing as individual being. I and the Father are one, John 10:30. Not God helping me, a God and a me, but God as the I that consents. Sit with that for a silent beat, not thinking it, but letting it be true where you are. Then add the companion word is. Now is the accepted time, 2 Corinthians 6:2. Harmony is because God is, life is, love is, peace is, substance is, I am, no reach, no future, is. Seal it with the inner benediction that collapses separation into identity. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Matthew 3:17. Hear it within as God recognizing God's own appearing where you are. This is my beloved Son, spoken not to a personality, but to the life that God is being as you now. Let that sentence settle until you feel its weight, gentle, certain, fathering your day. Then listen. Do not try to hear. Let hearing happen. A hush is the first answer. It may be followed by a word or only by assurance. If a word comes, it will be simple, never bossy. Wait, go, call, forgive. If nothing comes, leave the silence intact. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Isaiah 30:15. Rise and move from that climate, not from push. This is the minute. It can be taken at the threshold of morning, in a parked car, between doors, before the call, after the news. Keep it true and keep it spare. If the mind rushes back to the story, do not wrestle. Drop it again. One Lord, as, is, beloved. Then listen. Repeat as needed, not superstitiously, but as you would return to breath when distracted. Over days and weeks you will discover that decisions unclench, that fear loses its appointment book, that provision finds right channels, that relationships soften without speeches. By your life experience, by the fruitage, do not expect fireworks, expect order. Expect the hush to precede the word and the word to be obeyable. If there is no immediate sign, do not force. Return later for another minute and another. This is not a lazy man's work. It is steady, simple, faithful, returning often, unseeing appearance, consenting to presence, listening until the hush comes. Abide in me and I in you, John 15:4. Abiding turns minutes into a climate and a climate into a life. Let this be your quiet vow. A few honest minutes with as and is each day, sealing them with beloved, and then letting the day report. If questions rise, am I doing it right? Is anything happening? Let fruitage answer. Are problems more quickly and easily solved? Is fear less? Are choices cleaner? Is kindness more effortless? If yes, continue. If not, narrow the practice. Do not multiply words. One power, as is, beloved. Listen, I will help you. That is the only speech the world needs from you while you stand by in consciousness. The rest is God keeping his word. These signs shall follow them that believe. Mark 16:17. follow, do you see? Take your minute now and again and again. The yoke will prove easy, the burden light, and the day will reorder itself around the presence that lives itself as you